Okay, this tutorial is going to be to create a logo, a logo of your initials, which will then be used to create a personalised typographic text cover page for your digital portfolios. We'll start by creating a new file, File New or Control N. The canvas size needs to be width 1920 pixels wide, 1080 pixels high, resolution 72. Next we need to create a new layer, Control Shift N or your new layer tool. We want to make our default colours black and white by pressing D. And now we want to fill this new layer, layer 1, with the black background. Alt and backspace gives us a black background. Next, we'd like to create a new text layer. We're going to create a text layer for our first initial and a text layer for our second initial. T for text organises our text layer. I want my font, in this case, to be Arial. Century Gothic is what we're going to use later on, but for this point of it, Arial seems to work quite well. Weight is going to be bold. Size is going to be 600. Now I can draw a nice big text box, and my first initial, capital J. Now we'll notice, of course nothing happened there because my colour was wrong. I'm going to set my fore colour for my text to be white. And commit my change. I'm going to do the same thing again for my second initial, my first initial of my surname, which is a V. And there we go. Now, I'm going to move these around just a little bit, just so that they're in a little bit more alignment. To do that, I activated my Move tool, which was pressing V. For stylisation of my text here, I'm actually not happy with, I'd like a nice point on my V, and then I'm going to line the letters up so they're not just sitting side by side. So to start with, to get this point on my V, I'm going to highlight my text layer with the V. I'm going to right click and I'm going to rasterise my type. This means from here on I cannot edit that text. That V is now actually a formal shape. I'm going to select my polygon lasso tool and draw just roughly a point onto my V, and I'm going to fill with my paint bucket tool I'm going to fill that white, just like so. Control D to deselect. It's a little bit rough, but for the purpose of this exercise, that will be okay. Next thing I'd like to do with my V here is rotate it so that it sits perpendicular with my J, and I can move it closer to it. So for that, I'm going to go to my free transform tool, which is Control T. Firstly, I'm going to rotate till it's more or less straight. I can move it aside, make sure it's about right. That's pretty good. I don't want them too close together, but I do want them to sit nicely like so. Okay. Now, a bit my change. My J I'm not really happy with there. I'd like actually for the tops to match up on these a little bit. I'm going to highlight my J layer. Again, right click, rasterise type. Using my marquee tool, I'm just going to highlight a section of this, like so. use my free transform tool, Control T, and I'm just going to scale that up so that I know it's beyond the tips of the V there. Happy with that. Control D to clear my selection. Now, so I get a nice sharp line across both of these letters, I'm going to highlight both of my layers. By doing that, I highlight the first layer by clicking on it, then holding my Shift key down, click on my next layer. I've now highlighted both layers. I'm going to use my polygon lasso tool, and I'm going to create a line that slices through both of those, like so. Now if I select one layer at a time, press my backspace, press my other layer, backspace, I now have those lines lining up where I want them. Now, also on my J layer, Control D to deselect. The tip of my J here, I'd actually like that to follow a similar angle. So highlight my J layer, use my marquee tool. Again, I'm just going to select a small area, Control T, free transform. I'm just going to make that grow a little bit up there, something like that. Enter to commit the change. Control D to deselect. Now I can use my polygon lasso tool again, and I can just by eye run that off on a similar angle. Backspace will clear that, and there we go. Control D to deselect. I'm actually more or less happy with that. So from here, I need to copy my initial layers onto a new file, and then I will have a logo file that I can import into our final document, which will be the cover for our digital portfolio using typographic text. First things first, I'm going to set my visibility on layer 1, take that off so there's no black layer, take my background layer off. What I'm left with are my two initials. I'm now going to highlight both of those layers, clicking on the top one, holding my Shift key, so they're both highlighted. Now using my marquee tool, pressing M or clicking on marquee, I'm going to select an area that is larger than both initials. I'm going to copy the merged selection. I can do that using Control, Shift and C, or Edit, Copy Merged. Now I'm going to create a new file, Control N or File New. I'm going to leave the size, the height and the width as they are, and I'm going to Control V or Edit Paste to paste those initials in. You'll notice we can't see them because we have a background layer still visible, which is also white. Remove the visibility of that, and there we have it. That's my logo, more or less complete for the next part of the exercise. You could, of course, add more detail to it. You could remove portions of the letters and so on, but for the sake of this exercise, I'm quite happy with that. File, save, and I'm just going to pop this on my desktop for the moment, and I'm going to leave it in Photoshop format, name it surname underscore first name underscore house group underscore typography logo, and save. And that's it. That part of the exercise is now complete. Thank you.